Shidai Chor, one of hundreds of river islands in northern Bangladesh. Its highest point just a few meters above the great Brahmaputra River. Schoolteacher JAMILA Begum has lived here her whole life. She's used to the pattern. Floods during the rainy season, rebuilding and regrouping when it's dry. Assalamu alaikum, JAMILA. Thank you very much for having us.
Welcome.
So we first met you when you told us that your school was having a problem. You had to dismantle it.
Yes, I'll show you where it was.
JAMILA's school was on relatively high ground. But when the spring thaw comes and then the monsoon rains, nothing is safe. So where exactly was the school?
Just here.
Just here. It was actually right here, and now what happened? Whoa. In early June, the river got dangerously high.
When they saw the flood was coming, they dismantled it. It took 2 days.
It was the right move. We had been here, the water level would have been here. Wow. After the flood subsided, the land where the school had once stood was gone. JAMILA takes us to her village. They're still preparing the new site for her school, so for now, she's teaching in a shed behind her house. JAMILA herself left school at the age of 14 or 15 to get married. Like other people on the islands, she doesn't know her exact age. But with the help of an NGO, she went back to studying, to train as a teacher. She loves the job, even if the conditions aren't ideal right now.
At my school, everything had its place. It was organized. Here, everything is just thrown together. But I'm a teacher, and a teacher's job is to teach whatever the conditions are.
JAMILA is proud to be a teacher, but she's aware of her limitations when it comes to a topic like geography.
I'm like the other teachers here on the islands. I don't know about the mainland or the capital, Dhaka, or the rest of the world, so I can't answer their questions.
As for the kids, even the little JAMILA can tell them is enough to pique their curiosity about life beyond the islands.
I want to go to the mainland. There are better opportunities for education.
I want to go to university and be a teacher.
But the mainland is a world away for these children. River islands like this are known as chors. They're formed by silt and sand that wash down the Brahmaputra River each spring. For every new island that's formed, another one disappears. The average lifespan of a chor is just 12 years. Erosion is the culprit. The Brahmaputra is the 10th biggest river in the world, bigger than the Mississippi. It's been changing its course in recent decades, eating away into land weakened by deforestation, getting broader, shallower, and more unstable. And with global warming hitting the Himalayan snows, the annual floods wreak more havoc every year. The chors are remote and travel is difficult and slow. That means when someone gets sick, it's not easy to get to the doctor. But the families of Shaughnessy Chor are lucky. Kohinoor and Amina are community medics. Aged just 21 and 19, they look after nearly 300 people between them. Amina takes us into her house.
This is my house. This is where we sleep, where we have our cooking equipment, and over here is where I keep the medicine.
The women have basic medical supplies to treat colds and fevers. They also give advice on prenatal care and menstrual health.
These are sanitary napkins. You can get them in stores on the mainland, but many women are too embarrassed to buy them, so they prefer to get them from us.
The young women visit 10 to 15 families at their homes each day. More serious problems can await a monthly clinic on the chor, but emergencies, at least until recently, were a problem.
If there's an emergency, you have to find a boat to rent, then negotiate the price, then cross the river to get to the hospital. It takes more than 4 hours.
But now the young women tell us there's a state-of-the-art hospital right there on the chors, just 30 minutes walk away.
They have everything. Pediatrics, general medicine, an X-ray machine, everything.
Their job has given the women a salary, a smartphone, and an important role in the life of the chor. While most women in the chors look away when a stranger approaches, Kohinoor and Amina are open and direct. They take us to the hospital. The Emirates Friendship Hospital is run by the Bangladeshi NGO that trained the medics. Purpose-built with a double hull for the shallow waters, it moves around the chors, stopping for a few weeks at a time to perform operations and conduct health awareness campaigns.
Here's the gynecology unit, pharmacy.
Kohinoor knows the hospital well.
Over here's the dental unit, general physician, pediatrics, the eye unit.
And she has a soft spot for the eye unit.
When I first came to the friendship boat, I was walking by the eye unit and the door was partly open. The doctor said, "Come on, come in, don't hesitate. You're part of friendship too."
Contact with the doctors on the boat has opened up a new world for the two young women. Kohinoor left school and got married when she was 14, but now she has other ideas.
I've had a lot of contact with doctors and nurses and paramedics. I've gone back to school now. I'm in grade 9 right now, and maybe one day in the future, I'll be one of them.
People on the chors have learned to live on a landscape that is constantly shifting. There are no permanent foundations. If they're lucky, houses are built on plinths to raise them out of harm's way. There's no infrastructure, no pipes, no electrical cables. Every facility and every structure must be mobile. Hello, RAFIQUL'S. Thank you very much for having us. It's very nice to be. Thank you. So you were in our article about JAMILA Begum School over on Shidai, and you told us that schools that are built on the chors have to be specially built to be portable. Now, why is that?
We have to build them like that because we know floods will come, and when they do, they come suddenly.
RAFIQUL'S school used to be on the other side of the island, but it was moved during a major flood in 2008. It took just 3 hours to dismantle.
You just need an electric drill. You unscrew the bolts, like these ones here. Up there too. It's very quick.
It's not just schools that have to move, but people's houses too. So how many of you have had to move house because of a flood at least one time? And how about 2 times? And 3 times? Anyone had to move 3 times? And has anyone had to move 4 times because of a flood? 4 moves in 10-year-old Jorina's short life. RAFIQUL'S family has had to move too.
Our house was on the north side of the island, but we moved it to the south side. It was scary. I'm afraid for the next time there's a flood.
Like in Jamila's class, many of the children hope education will lead them to a different life. So what do you want to be when you grow up?
Doctor, pilot, doctor, teacher, doctor, police.
It's RAFIQUL'S job to open his students' minds to possibilities beyond life on the chors. But he knows the reality is different. Of the 22 kids in his 4th grade class, he thinks about half will go on to high school on the mainland, mostly boys. The girls will leave school to get married, and the boys will come back to be farmers. Nationwide, about half of Bangladeshi households depend on agriculture. On the chors, it's all of them. And with an ever-growing population, the challenge here is the same as on the mainland, to grow more to feed all those bellies. Fortunately, the silt on the chors is very fertile.
Right, here we've got lentils. Okay, take a look. Over there, chili peppers, then onions, and then this is rice.
Rice is the traditional staple in Bangladesh. In the Bengali language, the word rice is synonymous with food. This rice is high-tech.
The rice is genetically modified. It was developed by the government specially for the sandy soils on the chors. Its nutrition is good too. It's called nation-building rice.
Nation-building rice, it's the name of a strain developed by Bangladeshi researchers. Since 1970, they've managed to more than double the yield per hectare. But over the same period, Bangladesh's population has more than doubled too, to 170 million people. It's a constant struggle to boost productivity, so they've also developed strains to resist climate-related problems like drought and floods. These farmers are working in a field of freshly planted chili peppers. So has this field been flooded before?
Yes, about 2 to 3 months back. The water was above our heads, 2 to 3 meters deep.
They've planted the chilies because they'll be able to harvest long before the flood season. Come next spring, they'll leave this field to the mercies of the Brahmaputra, the river that gives and takes away.
When the river comes, it brings silt, and that's very fertile. It's good for the crops.
The river always makes us suffer. It breaks up our good fertile land and leaves nothing behind.
The people on the chors are some of the poorest in Bangladesh. They can't afford to buy land on the mainland, so their only option is to move to the slums of the big cities. But most stay. No one knows how many in all. There are no records of births and deaths on the islands. RAFIQUL says despite the hardship, the chor dwellers are a proud people.
On the chors, we're far away from everything. We live a very different kind of life. On the mainland, if you want something, you can go to the market and get it. We can't do that in the chors.
He says they're proud of their self-sufficiency, of the toughness that keeps them on the islands generation after generation. But it's a life that doesn't have much room for choice or for the dreams of the children he teaches.
I'm a teacher. All I can do is advise kids and advise their parents that the best thing for them is to get as much education as possible. But all I can do is give advice.
As for his own daughter, RAFIQUL has a plan. He's already bought a plot of land on the mainland and hopes to build a house there so she can continue her studies and become a doctor. That's it for this week. Remember, you can get in touch with us via social networks or an email to our site, observers.france24.com. I'll see you next time.